In this video, I'm going to talk about different ways that you might want to be making gold when Season 2 of New World hits, or what you should be farming right now if you want to make gold. So let's jump in and show you. Now, the big thing in the Season 2 patch is obviously the raid boss. I think pretty much everybody's going to be trying to take that down. There'll be random groups farming, and there's a lot of materials and a lot of things people are going to want to actually go ahead and do that. Now, what might not be worth doing at this moment is actually buying the materials and hoping that you can trade them up later on for more gold. I don't think that's necessarily going to be wise because a lot of people already know what you need. But what you can do is make use of that and maybe go and farm these materials. So like when I was talking about that, for example, I've got some chitin padding here, which we're going to talk about in a minute. I wouldn't necessarily think I'm going to get more value for that in a couple of months. If I was going to offload it, offloading it now would maybe be fine. Now, maybe I'm underestimating that. Maybe a lot of players will come back and try and actually buy that. And in that sense, maybe it's worth holding on to. It's a little bit hard to be exact, but what would be worth it is if you're just farming the materials, therefore you can craft it. That's like pure profit in a way. If you're buying something and hoping the price is going to go up and down, that's pretty much always a gamble, and that's a bit risky, and you take the risk, not me. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But let's speak about chitin padding. And I believe it is chitin rather than chitin. I was pretty sure I was saying chitin for like all of my life. On Barry right now, it's going for about 600 gold, maybe just over. And what do you need? Well, that's where things get interesting. To start with, you're going to have to head over to a tannery, and what you'll be looking for here is the chitin plate. You need one of these per chitin padding, and you can see it requires 8 chitin parts and layered leather. Now, layered leather, you just get that from skinning all the mobs. You already know all about that, I'm sure. But the chitin parts, they come from your scorpion dudes in Brimstone. And Brimstone really is going to be an exceptional place to farm a variety of different things that you're going to want that you can probably make gold on if you just get in there and start farming. For example, I mean, I actually haven't unlocked it, but here I think there's a decent scorpion area. Not 100% sure where the best place is for the chitin parts, but if you want to do it, there's some in there. I think they're going for, on Barry right now, they're going for about 3 gold per pop. So, you know, you can go ahead and do that. Once you've got the chitin plate, then you need to actually make the chitin padding. Now, the chitin padding is actually made at the forge, and you can see it requires the chitin plate that I was just saying. It also requires aloe gel, cactus flesh, runic leather, and phoenix weave. Now, runic leather and phoenix weave, they're pretty standard. I don't think they're going to change that much. But aloe gel and cactus flesh, yeah, they're really interesting because a lot of the things that you're going to want to craft, or at least another thing that you're going to want to craft, is going to use these. So it might be worth going out there in Brimstone, because these both come from Brimstone again, and farming these. Aloe gel is only going for about 1 gold a pop, but you can get it in large quantities. Cactus flesh at the minute is going for about 1.5 gold. But if you're running around Brimstone, maybe killing these scorpions, maybe you're going to be able to pick this kind of stuff up. So that's just chitin parts. The next thing that I think is probably going to be a bottleneck for people is the acid tincture. And now what's important about this is the recipe is actually changing from the live version to the PTR. And you should definitely not be crafting it right now. Now, an acid tincture currently requires these mats: 20 cactus flesh, aloe gel, but 5 sulfur as well as 5 charged sand. Now, I actually did the maths here. If I was to buy this stuff on Barry, I think this would currently cost me about 380 gold, with the bulk of that cost coming mainly from the sulfur but also the charged sand. However, as I said, this is actually changing on the PTR. So if we jump onto New World database, I can sort of show that here. You can see I am on the PTR, but let's scroll down and look at the actual materials you need to craft this. You still need aloe gel and cactus flesh, sure. But the key thing is that sulfur chunk. It's going from pure sulfur to actually just sulfur chunks, and that is drastically going to lower the price of these. The acid tincture, I think on Barry right now, going for about 100 gold. If I was to buy all of the new mats that you need, I think that would cost you about 78 gold. So you can see how there's potential here. Now, the thing that really adds the value, if I'm honest, are these life moth eyes and these poison sac. I think on my server, the life moth eyes are going for about 10 gold. You also need a petal cap, but that's sort of like negligible. It's worth noting that I don't think any of this actually increases the quantity for this one, so you can probably just go with the cheapest, whatever the cheapest one is on your server. The poison sacks are going for 13 gold, and the life moth eyes are going for just under 13 at 12.2. These, if you've got some of these available to you, you might want to sell when it actually goes live, or you might want to buy now and maybe think they'll go up in price. That's again a little bit risky, but I would not be surprised to see these go up in value. The amount of acid tinctures that people are going to get through, if there's a lot of people coming back, could be quite high. But the overall gist here is make sure if you are going to craft these acid tinctures, you want to do it after the patch, not now. You're basically throwing away gold effectively. But did you also see how it does require cactus flesh and aloe gel? That's 2 things that are going to require that. maybe that is going to go up in value, or maybe it's just worth farming because the value is going to be as high as it's ever going to get. You know, it's hard to say. Now, speaking about consumables, obviously the acid tincture is going to be great. You know, that's pretty much going to be a requirement, I think. And considering they go through at least probably one per fight, the rate of consuming that will be very high. This next one, the price might not vary that much, but let's have a look at it anyway, and that is of course the beast coating. So if you don't know, the worm, the sandworm, is beast. It's the main thing that we're actually sort of prepping for, but don't worry, we will talk about some of the stuff in a moment as well. But the infused beast coating, you can see it does require a salamander slime. Well, it's actually any of the tier 5 offensive regents, so that is salamander slime, lightning beetle, blight moth, dust, and piranha tooth. Now, the one that draws my attention the most here is the piranha tooth. They're all sort of about the same. I think they're all about 50 gold last time I checked. You can go out and farm them. You know what they are. They're the little, like, bugs on trees, basically. You can go ahead and try and find the best route. 50 gold a pop, it's not that bad. Maybe you do want to farm it. But I'm a little bit intrigued by the piranha tooth. So I don't really know enough about fishing, but Fivehead was basically saying that you can pick what fish you're going to try and get. I wonder if people farming piranhas will be profitable as soon as season 2 hits. It's hard for me to say, but that's just something that I think of right now. I do not know enough about fishing really though to make a proper comment. Also worth noting that if you use the like quints, that you then don't get reduced items. So basically you get the most amount of items if you use this and then a quint and then a quint. Death and respectively. However, honestly, I think really it might be worth just buying them right now. They're not that expensive. Do I know if these will go up in value? I don't really know. They do last 40 minutes, and I suspect it will take, you know, for the first couple of times through, it's going to take a while to do the raid. But yeah, they're not going to be going through as much as the acid tinctures, at least I don't think so. But that might be something you just want to farm, just in case. Maybe you want to have a load of them, maybe you want to craft them, you know. Do your thing. It's not worth buying the materials to craft that because the value is just not there right now. Now, one thing you probably already know is that I would be a little bit reluctant, unless you're sort of like a little bit desperate right now, to be buying the wolf essences, you know, the thing to actually get Beast Bane and Beast Ward. These have definitely, like, they shot up the other day. I think I bought a lot when it first was announced. I think I bought them for like 50 gold. Then I think I sold some for maybe like 150 gold. And now they're sort of dropping back down. Honestly, I think most of the people who are hardcore, who are crafting, have probably already crafted their Beast Ward gear. So if you're last minute, I think I would maybe wait till just before the patch and then buy these. Once the patch hits, then all bets are off. It's really hard to predict. But maybe lots of people come back. Maybe they'll go up in price. Maybe people will be crafting. I don't really know. It's also worth noting that you actually get that medium concept by doing the actual quest, the season 2 quest. So that's sort of semi-decent for a lot of people. And then if you do manage to do the raid, you will actually get some really good beast gear. Same for the Bane one as well, actually. Now, the other thing that it might be worth just generally stocking up on is stuff like your normal consumables, so just like your health pots and stuff like that. Your honing stone as well. And one that you might not necessarily consider is the incense. Now, incense is actually crafted at the workshop rather than, say, like the Arcana, and the powerful incense requires this. It requires 1 ironwood plank, hyssop, cinnamon, and charcoal. Now, if you do want to craft these, it is worth knowing that they do last 30 minutes. Then that cinnamon was quite cheap, but I suspect it might go up in price. However, it is only 1. Really, the bottleneck here, if we're honest, is the ironwood planks. If you've got ironwood planks, maybe that will be a good time to sell when the patch goes live. There'll be like a point where that peaks, and if you can sell, then that's fine. Or you can just go ahead and farm some. And the next thing I want to talk about is actually flame cores and human ward gear. So for those of you who don't know, the hatchery trial that is coming in season 2, and just to remind you where that's going to be, it's actually going to be pretty much here at the Neapolis. I don't know why I'm struggling to say that. And if you don't know, that instead of being beast ward like the sandworm, it's actually going to be human ward, and you're probably going to want fire gems as well. You can craft with the Empyrean Forge. You're sort of just gambling, but you at least know you're probably going to get human ward stuff. I sort of feel like you just better buy in 2 perkers, because the seasonal trial, if I'm honest, isn't that difficult. But you might see an increase in ruby gems as people actually go, oh damn, I'm not that good at the game, let me get in my ruby gems. Me, I'll be kitted out in my human ward stuff with ruby gems. I've not really spoken about PvP or anything like that here, because if I'm honest, I don't really know too much about what's going to be changing. I believe the sword and shield gain a bit of a buff. You know, I'm not making any judgments here about the meta, but PvE wise, we know what is coming, we know what's going to be sort of like required, so you can act on that if you want. I think farming in Brimstone Sands, if you were going to farm anywhere, would be a perfectly legitimate thing right now to try and make gold, because you know that those things are going to be useful. We know beast coatings are going to be used. We know acid tinctures are going to be used. We know people are going to be putting chitin padding on all of their gear, all of the beast gear. Just makes sense. I honestly don't think this next one's going to be that big of a difference. But if you have any really cool transmog or rare transmog that you have maybe from, just out in the world, you might want to store it and either use it yourself or sell it. Obviously, this is talking about making gold, so you'd sell it in this instance. But rare transmog, that could be kicking off. Obviously, that's not going to be with Season 2. It's actually sort of Season 2.5. But personally, these little cheap items here, I've just been buying anything that looks cool. I've just occasionally been going on the trading post and being like, oh, I like the look of that helm, I will buy that. Oh, I like the look of that, I will buy that. So maybe save these if you find them, just in case. However, I'd be surprised if the gold really changes that much on them. That's it for this video. Big shout out to my YouTube members, much appreciate you guys. And if you want to support me and watch me on Twitch, then of course there is a link in the description. I've changed things up actually. This is actually a green screen. Normally this is a real actual wall, because I was doing the green screen today, I'm using a proper green screen. I'll show you the magic as we speak. There we go. Amazing. Have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.